So there's also corrupt members in the current government. Hey there, assalamualaikum guys, welcome back for another amazing video. Today we're going to talk about a little bit of politics, and this is important because politics has a huge effect on the macro and microeconomics of a country, which has a direct effect to your investments, which means that it affects how much of that mashallah money you make. Today we're going to talk about what's going on with Pakistan and Imran Khan, and if you have investments in South Asia, and how these things can affect your cryptos and your money potentially. And these are important topics. I haven't covered much of politics before, but this one today I feel like kind of an obligation that I need to cover politics and tell you guys how politics affects your finances. Let's get this video started. Okay, so what's going on with Pakistan and Imran Khan, and what's all this ruckus about? So there's the standing government and there was the opposing government. They both had issues, which they always do. So the standing government was saying, this opposition government is corrupt, which they were. There's a lot of corrupt charges on them, which has been internationally accepted, and said that yes, they are corrupt, and they have a lot of issues and whatnot. So what this government did was they actually bought out seats from the current government. So there's also corrupt members in the current government, and so they bought out seats from the current government. Buying out seats means they paid people in the current government to come and be part of their party, and so they hold majority of the government, which puts their leader in hold of prime minister, ministries, and blah 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 blah. Anywho, so America heavily funded this buying. So America's interfering with Pakistani politics, and which they were always going to do. There's elected or selected governments in many countries, and this is America. This is how America runs global politics. Everybody knows how America behaves, right? So anywho, they bought out so many of the seats. The seats came to this side. Now this seat is holding power. Now the opposing government is now the new sitting government. And there's a lot of corrupt members in there, and there's a lot of corrupt issues, the corrupt things that are happening there. So this is what's happening with Pakistan. But the old holding government, which is now the opposing government, has actually resigned all of its seats. So they said, we're not part of this government anymore because this government is a bought government from the American councils. On top of this, the government that has been just put in place, or who has been bought by America, has also acknowledged that beggars can't be choosers, which indirectly saying that okay, we are enslaved to the American mindset, or we're enslaved to what America is saying. That has riled up everybody in Pakistan, and the youth has stood up, and the youth is saying we're not slave to anybody, and we are a free country. And why is America interfering with our politics? So this, which was the old standing government, has resigned, and they're asking for a re-election. And because the youth within Pakistan has stood up, there's massive protests. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people are going to these protests to stop this new government that has been selected by America and stop them, because it's not in the interest of the people, it's in the interest of politics of America. Anywho, so people are going to the protest, and now the current situation is maybe in 2 months, maybe in 3 months, maybe in 6 months, there might be a re-election of the entire system. And if there's a re-election, I think the old government, which is Imran Khan's government, which is the non-corrupt government, the non-American selected government, is the one that's going to come back with 2/3 majorities. And a lot of the corrupt people are going to be just kicked out, because now he knows who were bought out, right? Now he knows which people in his team were corrupt, because they got bought out for a few $1 million. So this is what's going on with Pakistan, and how does this affect your money now? And this is, I'm making this video because I've made videos about investing in Pakistan as a potential investment. So I think I need to make this video to tell you guys how this affects your investments if you had invested through my videos. But I have a lot of my investments also in Pakistan. How does this affect my money and your money, and how does this affect your mashallah money? When the government came in, as soon as they came in, the dollar to the PKR went down, which means PKR got stronger. Now this is due to fake numbers. America probably went into the forex market and bought a huge chunk of PKRs, increasing the demand for PKR, decreasing the demand for USDT, making the PKR value go up, and USDT, relatively, its value going up, but relatively going down a little bit. Supply and demand, if you did forex. So this is what's happened. And with that, as soon as the new government has came in, they have put in some policies to decrease prices of certain goods in the country. And that's all because what they're going to do is they're going to take money from America, or they're going to take money from loaning members, and they're going to use that to subsidize the food cost, which in direct is going to take us back to the same position that we were in, like Pakistan was in 20 years ago, 10 years ago, with the high loans and the high interest rates. So it's artificial market making, and it's artificial market determination of what's happening, right? And so this is a huge effect on inflation and what could happen when everything gets normalized. Then what? Then what happens is people have less money to put towards investments, such as your real estate, your stocks, your crypto, your blah blah blah. And that in the long run is going to actually depreciate your investment potential, like how much you can put into investment in the long run. So that covers that part. Now, how does this affect crypto? Now, understand this: if Pakistan decides, if the people of Pakistan decide to keep protesting and push through an election does not get pushed through because of the corruption and because of American funding, then it could also mean civil unrest. And unfortunately, I have to tell you guys this: if it's civil unrest, your money is going to be heavily affected. Your investments are going to fall, and I have my investments there too, and so it's going to fall. So you have to think about maybe a civil unrest plan for our investment. Now, if you have a lot of cash in Pakistan, I would heavily recommend, if you foresee this, okay, not financial advice recommendation, personal recommendation. If you foresee a civil unrest upcoming, I would genuinely say take your PKR now and put it into crypto or gold. Because whenever there's a civil unrest, the only protected assets that you have usually is gold, but now it's also crypto. The reason why I would even lean more towards crypto is because gold, if ever push comes to shove, the government can ask for a seize back of gold. So they can ask for gold at a very cheap rate, or they can just come and steal it. This has happened in the past multiple times, not just in developing countries, but also in developed countries. You can look at Germany, you can look at what happened in World War I, II, and Greece and stuff. You see the government went into your bank accounts and took your cash. If you put it into a non-custodial method of crypto, no one can touch it but yourself. It'll be in the blockchain system. It'll be in global markets. So you're protecting your money. And I think this is going to be a time where if you foresee, remember, you can only make investments on what you believe and data says that is going to be upcoming. And that's how you make real money, is thinking about the future. If you foresee a civil unrest, probably this is the best time to buy your cryptos and your Ethereums and your Bitcoins and whatever crypto that you think, or you can watch my other videos that I said my top cryptos, and put the money in there. And I'm making this video because it's very, very important that you don't get affected by your PKRs, or your investments don't get heavily affected by any civil unrest that comes. So this is talking about civil unrest. Now let's talk about how governments affect business. The reason why I felt much stronger and I felt more in line with Pakistan and investing there, and because it is a growing economy and the potential is very high. We have India on one side, which is a very developed economy when it comes to a business, right? They have a lot of unicorns. We have China at the top. We have Afghanistan that's coming back also. So there's a lot of potential that's coming, and due to tourism, a lot of money is coming into Pakistan. So there's a lot of potential of money making. Now, that's why I looked at it. But that was all linked to Imran Khan's government. That was all linked to, a lot of it was linked to Imran Khan and his policies of business and his policy of doing everything the uncorrupt way. And due to that, what happens is a lot of international businesses also saw a good sign. And I know Islamabad or different cities of Pakistan were targeting towards Facebook, Amazon, Google, IBM to come there and set up their offices like they have done in India. And that's where the whole, the ease of doing business levels went up, everything went up during his government time. And thus, it was very important that he stayed for another term so my investments could become enriched and I could have taken some benefit from it. But now, due to the current issue, instability, I'm thinking about, okay, what are plan B? Now, with a corrupt government like the one that has been selected and put in place now, that creates a lot of issues with international interest of business. A lot of businesses do not want to come into countries where they have to pay for corruption charges, or where they have to bribe officials, or they have to do all that stuff. And unfortunately, with this new selected government, That was pretty much the whole system. You give me an X amount, that's the only way I'll let your permits go through, or I'll let you do your business, or I'll let you, do something with it. And everything was on bribery. But with this new government, you could literally go to the offices of government officials and get work done. And if they didn't do it, and if they asked for bribery, you could record it, and boom, that man would have been kicked out. And that was the hope that I saw. So like with the previous government of Imran Khan, if anybody had any issues with people asking them for bribery or corruption, they could have easily took a recording or sent a message to this portal that they made, and that person would have been held accountable, and that person would have went through an audit of how his business is being done, or how he's being as a public servant. And that is not being done now anymore, or will not be in place, because the selected government is very corrupt. I'm just going to share a story with you guys. When I was working for the United Nations, if you didn't know I was working for the United Nations, now you know. I used to work for the United Nations as a co-op student, as a junior economist in Cambodia. While I was there, I worked with many people that had also worked with the Pakistan and the South Asian region of United Nations. And at that time, I was passionate. Maybe I was like, okay, let me look into going to Pakistan and living in Islamabad and working for the United Nations there. Turned out to be that the corruption level, this is like 12 years ago, was so high that if United Nations wanted to do anything with the government officials, this is with the same people that are now selected and put in place, they would say, how much will you give us before we let you do charity? So people have to give bribery and give money for charity to be done. So I'm donating money, and I have to give money, I have to bribe somebody so I can give charity. And that's how ridiculous it was. Now that's why I'm scared, and that's why I not really scared, but I'm making this video. The next 3 months, a lot can determine what your investments will be in countries like this in the future. So we can take Pakistan aside, but just looking at this, just looking at things I'm trying to tell you: corruption, false market making, international interferences can affect your macro and microeconomics of a country. And that can affect your businesses, and how you have to be smart enough to maneuver and change your investments quickly, or if they're not liquid enough, what is your plan B in regards to that? Personally, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be leaving my investments there, because not only do I have financial interest in that country, I also have personal interest. So if I take out money, it will affect the economy, right? And so will if you guys do that. So, but on my personal level, I'm going to leave it, and I'm just going to see how that plays out. But because I'm foreseeing, not because emotional reasons, but I'm foreseeing that Imran Khan's government will come back with 2/3, which will make him even more stronger, which will make the real estate investments, which will make the stock investments, and which will make the tourism investments, and which will make the other formats of equity investments much stronger. This is the reason why I'm holding it for the longer run. That's it for this video, guys. Just wanted to kind of give you guys an update on this and what's going on here, and what you should be thinking about when it comes to being involved in third world countries or being involved in developing countries, and how your brain should be functioning. Thinking about how each factor can affect your money, how it can affect you from making that martial money. Hope you guys liked the video. Share, like, subscribe. Let me know in your comments what do you think about what's happening in Pakistan, in India, Palestine, and different places in the world, and how it's affecting your business, how is it affecting your investments, what decisions are you taking to make sure that you are not harmed from international interferences, or corruption, or false market making, and just all this craziness that's going on. Let me know, inshallah. Take care of yourself. Ramadan Kareem. Assalamu alaikum. Do subscribe, like, share, hit that bell icon for notifications. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram for more content. I'll be uploading more stuff in all of these social media websites. Thanks. Take care. Salam.